Dương chào tất cả các anh chị em trên Facebook. Hôm nay Dương có dịp Dương đến đây gặp một cái người dân biểu đã từng là dân biểu tại Na Uy. Anh ta sẽ nói bằng tiếng Anh. Sau đó thì có thể là ở clip sau Dương tranh thủ để mà quay lại cho anh chị xem. Thì sau đó những anh chị mà biết tiếng Anh đó dịch ra để giúp cho những cái người bạn trẻ trong nước biết rằng là ngày hôm nay tình hình vi phạm nhân quyền ở Việt Nam nó nghiêm trọng đến mức độ nào, và khi ông đến Việt Nam đó thì ông bị đối xử ra làm sao. Thì bây giờ là Dương sẽ có một số câu hỏi và ông sẽ nói cho các bạn nghe bằng tiếng Anh. Thì sau đó Dương sẽ cố gắng để dịch ra bằng tiếng Việt ở dưới các comment sau nhé. Hello. Can you say about when you came in Vietnam and what's happened for you from Communist Party? Yes.
I visited Vietnam 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
And in my last visit, I met with a number of dissidents, people fighting for a better Vietnam, for a different Vietnam, for a democratic Vietnam, for a Vietnam where human rights is respected.
Yes.
And during that time, there are a number of strong stories. I'm going to just briefly mention one of them. I was in a house.
Yeah.
There were 3 people, 2 teachers. They were all banned from teaching because they were fighting for a better Vietnam.
Yes.
Their daughter was harassed on a regular basis because of what her parents did.
Yeah.
So not being allowed to work, having a daughter that's almost being kicked out of school, having death threats made to them on a regular basis, even had a bus of convicts from a prison come to their house to beat them up.
Yeah.
That made a terrible impression on me.
Yeah.
So brave, willing to sacrifice everything for a Vietnam they believe in.
Yeah.
And all I could do was offer some money.
Yeah.
So I've always been interested in human rights. I've always been interested in Vietnam and believe that the struggle that's taking place in Vietnam now is well worth fighting, not only inside of Vietnam, but outside of Vietnam. So there are a lot of people willing to offer support for Vietnam, for the people of Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I've been honored to work with the Vietnamese community here in Norway, here in Europe, on a different Vietnam. So if some of you hear this, look at this, there are so many watching your struggle, not only crossing their fingers for the work you're doing for a better Vietnam, but also willing to lend a hand, willing to step in and do whatever it takes to help. But the change is going on in the inside. The outside will always just give support, give a bit of pressure, but change will come from the inside and out.
Yeah.
A regime like the Vietnamese regime today, where the kleptocracy is just getting the ruling elite even richer, where ordinary people is being kept down, it's not for the future. It will change, and change is being done by ordinary Vietnamese people that is willing to take on the fight.
Yeah. Terrible, because Communist Party. I don't know how I can say about that, but Vietnam not have not human right and have not democracy. So. The last time, Formosa, you know, Formosa, a lot of people go out, and the police, Vietnam police, fight the Vietnam people. They have not talk about human rights.
That's how it is. The regime of Vietnam, including the police force, including the military, is there to keep themselves in power, to keep the people of Vietnam out of power. But the vast majority of Vietnamese people would like a better tomorrow. They would like a prosperous tomorrow, a democratic tomorrow, and where human rights is respected. That's the will of the people, but it's not the will of the regime. So the only outcome of this is someday in the future, change will come. Someday in the future, every man and woman will be able to hand in a ballot and vote for the new elected Vietnamese officials. Not the appointed one, but the elected one. the ones that would actually care for the people and would implement human rights and democracy for all.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. Các bạn, đây là cái cuộc gặp gỡ giữa Dương với một cái người đã từng làm dân biểu ở bên Na Uy, và ông đã đến Việt Nam và ông đã bị đối xử rất là tệ khi ông đến và ông gặp gỡ những cái người mà đã tham gia hoạt động nhân quyền tại Việt Nam. Thì hôm nay là cái buổi gặp gỡ lần đầu tiên của Dương với ông. Đó, thì ngày hôm nay thì military and police keep power away from citizens. Yeah. This is comment the Facebook on Facebook. Yeah. Thì đó là những cái sự chia sẻ của ông về cái việc mà ngày hôm nay á, Việt Nam bị vi phạm nhân quyền nghiêm trọng lắm. Và đối với ông là một cái người you are foreigner, ông là một cái người mà có thể gọi là một cái chính khách đến tại Việt Nam, mà nhưng ông bị đối xử rất là tệ. Có nghĩa là ngày hôm nay á, là những cái người Việt Nam á, cộng sản đã cho những cái người đến cửa ngay cho khách sạn của ông để mời ông ra khỏi sân bay. The Communist Party went to the hotel and take you go to the airport. Yeah. Thì đưa ổng ra sân bay để cho ổng không có ở lại Việt Nam nữa, tại vì ông có gặp gỡ với nhiều người hoạt động nhân quyền tại Việt Nam á anh chị. How you think about Formosa? Một cái người the Facebooker asked you how you think about Formosa. You know Formosa? Formosa company China. Yeah.
I don't know enough about it, but I could just say that a better tomorrow for Vietnam puts a lot of responsibility on businesses doing business in Vietnam to make sure that ordinary people's lives are respected.
Yes.
To make sure that money isn't filling the coffers of the Communist Party and the regime.
Yeah.
To make sure that people have a safe working environment, that they're paid enough for the work they do, and that health and security and environmental issues are respected as well. Because we've seen so many instances where companies get away with gross disrespect of both human rights of the environment just because they pay someone higher up in the Communist Party. And that's not a better Vietnam. That's a much worse Vietnam. That's the Vietnam of today.
Yes.
That needs to change.
Yeah. Đó là chúng ta cần thay đổi ở Việt Nam ngày hôm nay nó như vậy, và ông rất là khó chịu. I think you unpleasant about Communist Party. Ông rất là khó chịu và không có hài lòng về những cái hành động của Đảng Cộng sản Việt Nam. Đó anh chị. Who is there he's talking about Vietnam and have been a human right in Vietnam. Yes, I think China take over Vietnam, so and the day Vietnamese people protect, they some army China to stop people protect. Yes. Có ai đặt câu hỏi bằng tiếng bằng tiếng Anh không? Thì Dương sẽ hỏi ổng để mà chúng ta có thể là giúp cho những người trẻ trong nước biết rằng ngày hôm nay là người ở hải ngoại, người quốc tế họ cũng đã nhìn về Việt Nam, và ngày hôm nay Việt Nam bị vi phạm nghiêm trọng, và những cái người này họ cũng biết rằng là Việt Nam bị vi phạm nghiêm trọng. Yeah. How do you think about Vietnam environment? I think the last time you have you went to Hanoi. Okay. How do you think about environment in Vietnam?
The scenery, the nature is fantastic.
Yeah.
The jungles, the coastline, Ha Long Bay. Vietnam has so much to offer.
Yeah.
But not let that be wrecked by corporations or the communist regime putting a price on it, willing to trade it away for economic prosperity just here and now.
Yeah.
It must be safeguarded. That's for Vietnam's future. It's not something to be used today.
Yes.
And if you respect the environment, if you respect the people of Vietnam,
yeah.
the only credible outcome is democracy needs to come to Vietnam.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Now anh chị, what can we do? What can we do to protect activists in Vietnam? The Facebook asks you, what can we do?
Well, that's change happens from within.
Change.
it's not foreigners like myself that would give any change to Vietnam, unfortunately. I can lend support, I can show support to activists like yourself, to others, but it is activists like yourself and others inside of Vietnam that will bring credible change to the country.
Yeah.
But we can pressure Norway and other countries to make sure that activists being harassed, activists being jailed, that those names, those people are brought up into the dialogue between countries.
Yes.
That no matter what happens inside of Vietnam, it's not just a question of internal politics in Vietnam, it's a question for the world. It's the question for the rest of the world to see too. It is important to see that every single dissident in Vietnam fighting for a democratic Vietnam is actually doing the world a great favor. Because a democratic Vietnam, a stable Vietnam, a prosperous Vietnam, all that makes for a better tomorrow for all of us.
Yeah. Yes. Other Facebook. What is your advice for young Vietnamese? What the world can help us help those people that have been captured by police? Okay. Yeah.
I saw with my own eyes people being taken to jail in Vietnam.
Yeah. Yes.
For the sheer fact of demonstrating, or for the sheer fact of speaking out against the regime. What can be done is the work of amnesty, where they put international pressure on the release.
Yes.
Where people's actions, if it is a dissident trying to fight for a better tomorrow, making sure that those cases are known for all to see, and that limits the options the regime has, because a regime like the Vietnamese also needs support from the international community.
Yes.
And if they know by having people disappear, from jailing people, from torturing people, that would cause an international outcry, they would not do it. So an important part of the work is actually making sure that Amnesty, other NGOs, countries like Norway, put pressure on the Vietnamese government to release all its human rights prisoners.
Yes. Chúng ta nghe em nói không ạ? Tất cả ngày hôm nay cái sự thay đổi phải từ bên trong. Chúng ta thay đổi từ bên trong nhé. Rồi cái đó là cái câu nói hồi nãy. Yeah. The other Facebookers say Norway must stop to support right now until Vietnam respects the human rights. How do you think about that?
I think it's very important for Norway, for the European Union, for countries that are like-minded, to speak out,
yes,
to be willing to put pressure on Vietnam too, that Vietnam needs to change.
Yeah, Vietnam needs to change.
The rule of Vietnam today is a rule of few, but the rule of Vietnam should be the rule of the people. All the people, not just the very few people that are getting filthy rich by robbing the country.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to go to Vietnam again?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Very much so. I've not been around to Vietnam much, but I have been to Saigon, I have been to Hue, I have been to Hanoi, I've been to the borders of Laos, and I've been to Ha Long Bay. And I've seen some fantastic scenery. And wherever I've gone, I've met extremely friendly people, so I'd love to come back.
Yeah. From Facebook, Trọng Leno, you how do you think about the police Vietnam hit the people? How do you feel? How do you feel about police Vietnam police?
Like any person, it's an atrocity.
Yeah.
The police should be there to protect people, not to hurt people.
Yeah.
And a police force that hurts his own people.
Yes.
Well, they're in grievance with their most important task, and that's to protect and serve. And they're only serving the ruling force, the ruling elite, by hitting its own people.
Yes.
That's not the work that should be done by anyone, and especially not the police.
Yes. Chúng ta nghe phải không ạ? Những cái người nào chúng ta nghe rõ tiếng Anh thì có những cái comment ở phía dưới để cho các bạn trẻ nó họ cùng nghe luôn anh chị nhé. What the gentleman think when we Chinese undercover policemen beating the Vietnamese citizens when the Vietnamese shoot to? You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
It must be made very clear that China must respect the integrity of Vietnam. That Vietnam as a sovereign country could not be dictated by a big neighbor like China.
Yes.
And Chinese corporations as well needs to respect the people and the will of the people of Vietnam.
Yes.
But there is a major problem here, and that's the ruling force. The Communist Party of Vietnam doesn't respect its own people.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to basic human rights for all.
Yes.
The ability to choose your own leadership and therefore give democracy to the people. That needs to happen both in Vietnam and in China too.
Yeah, both of them. Okay. Những anh chị nào mà hiểu tiếng Anh á, chúng ta có thể comment xuống. Ông nói tiếng Việt Nam không được. Some people want to talk speak Vietnam a little Vietnam's language. So yeah. Can you say xin chào Vietnamese? Xin chào.
Xin chào.
Đó, chúng ta nghe is very good. Yeah. How to make all Vietnamese in Vietnam to understand their rights? How to make all Vietnam to understand their rights?
That's a difficult question, because if you don't know your rights, if no one has told you your rights, how should your children or yourself know it? It needs to come from family. It needs to come from friends, from people you work with, from people willing to stand up and tell your neighbor, tell your friends.
Yeah.
We all have basic human rights. It doesn't matter if I live in Oslo or if you live in Hanoi.
Yes.
We all have the same basic human rights, and we need to tell each other exactly that. So if you know your rights, make sure you tell your neighbor of his and her rights too.
Yeah. Bây giờ có những anh chị nào muốn đặt câu hỏi không? Đặt câu hỏi đi, chỉ ít phút sau nữa Dương sẽ tắt. Can we cooperate with the Norway government in the future to make Vietnam change better?
I hope so. I strongly hope so. Vietnam has been a topic for discussion both in the Norwegian Parliament on a number of occasions, and I did that when I was a parliamentarian too.
Yeah.
Where then our Foreign Service, the human rights dialogue taking place.
Yes.
And I think that's an effort that should be increased, that more emphasis should be put not only from Norway's side but for the European side, for the American side, on change needs to happen in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Cannot keep your own people in prison, cannot keep your own people under the boot's heel, just for your own personal gain. And countries like mine needs to speak out.
Yeah. Chúng ta dịch ra nhanh cho những người bạn trẻ, tại nhiều khi Dương dịch nó không có chính xác anh chị. Thì ngày hôm nay ổng như theo Dương nghĩ rằng là ổng nói những cái điều này là ngày hôm nay có những cái người ở bên ngoài, ở người Na Uy hoặc là người Mỹ này kia, họ ở bên cạnh để họ ủng hộ chúng ta. Nhưng mà cái việc ngày hôm nay cũng phải là từ bên trong. Okay. During protests, there are a lot of Chinese police on Vietnam police uniforms. How do we treat them?
I don't know. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, very difficult.
I believe that all struggles should be non-violent.
Yes.
I strongly believe that when you do protest, do so non-violently, because it's such a strong symbol.
Yes.
When you're there protesting for a better Vietnam, if it turns violent, it would only give the police a pretext to hit you, to go brutally against you. So my instinct always tells me that go non-violent.
Yeah. Chúng ta nghe nhé. He is exactly right. The policemen in any country are there to help and to protect the people, not hurting people. Those policemen who hurting, they are okay, this offense. So nó chạy đã mất tiêu rồi, đợi một chút xíu. Rồi cái comment nó mà chạy mất tiêu rồi. Upload a national day on red bed. They shouldn't be exist at all. They all should go to hell. Yeah, okay. Yeah. The Facebook say you very rich.
Thank you.
Very, yeah. What are the solution? Or how do the Vietnamese come as one mindset? Why when matter the peoples come as one, but we didn't? For example, on the ordinary, they also come when then, oh my God, when come the time you people from as one. Okay, understand. I go.
I think we all agree that it's for people to decide. It's not for anyone else, not a small minority, to rule over the majority. So there are some principles that needs to be put to the test in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it only happens when people speak out of what's going on today. It only happens if ordinary people are willing to speak their mind, if ordinary people are willing to ask for and strongly want a better tomorrow, a free Vietnam, a prosperous Vietnam with democracy for all. So it basically goes back to the fact of human rights and democracy go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But it's not something that a ruling elite like the filthy rich Communist Party of Vietnam is willing to give to the people.
Yeah.
They must feel the roar of the people. They must feel the want of the people, and they must see the people in the streets demanding it.
Yeah, okay. Vậy nhé. Dương thì Dương không biết là Dương sẽ có những cái câu hỏi gì tiếp theo. Thì nói chung là ngày hôm nay thì ổng cũng không có nhiều thời gian, thì Dương nghĩ rằng là Dương chỉ còn một ít phút nữa thôi. Các bạn có muốn hỏi câu hỏi gì thì các bạn hỏi đi nghe, để Dương hỏi ổng 2 phút nữa thôi. Thank you so much because you helped me talk about Vietnam power, for example, human rights, democracy and the freedom and anything. Okay. Đây là Dương có mặt ngày hôm nay. Dương có mặt gặp ông thì nói chung là tiếng Anh của Dương thì cũng không có giỏi lắm, nhưng mà Dương nhờ là những người anh chị mà biết giỏi tiếng Anh á, thì chúng ta có thể dịch xuống để xuống cái comment để cho những người bạn hiểu rằng ông đang nói gì. Thì Dương nhiều khi Dương dịch không có chính xác, Dương có thể hỏi và nghe để hiểu theo cái nghĩa của mình. Hãy giúp Dương một tay nha anh chị. Thank you so much. Ok, Dương chào tất cả các anh chị nha. Dương chào tất cả các anh chị nha.